it's Lindsay and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my September wrap up. Wow, September went by super fast. Also, I feel like I barely got to breathe because I was so busy. Everyone always says that the month before debut month, and then the month after is so busy, and then it's just like you can finally breathe, and I can't wait to breathe. But also I'm like incredibly grateful for this opportunity, so it's like, you know, a mixed bag. So September was a really interesting month. I had a lot of really exciting things happen, some kind of like the crappy things happening, but overall I had a good time. I consumed some good media, I read some good books. It finally became fall season, which is all that my entire body waits for. It also coincides with the time of year when my migraines aren't as bad normally, just because the heat is less, so that's exciting, even though the transition period is always really rough, but we'll talk about that later. Actually, we'll just go ahead and talk about it right now. So let's start with life. Usually I break these up into 3 sections where I talk about my life, everything that was happening non-work related in the month of September, and then I go into writing and work related stuff, and then I go into media, things I can watched, played, consumed, in whatever, you know, format. But let's go ahead and start with life. So September was interesting. I always struggle with transition months between seasons with my migraines. I'm pretty sure that one of my triggers is the change in pressure. I always struggle when I fly, and anytime there's thunderstorms, I always get migraines. So I'm pretty sure it's pressure related, but also season change related, and I don't quite understand how that would work. I'm wondering if it's also pressure related in a way, like the pressure lessens during the fall, and so my body has finally started to get used to the high pressure of summer, and then, you know, we had the transition period, so it was a mess. I only had 7 pain-free days, which really sucked. I talked last month about how I was so happy. I had 18 pain-free days. I finally found a migraine medicine that was working for me. Like right after I filmed that video, insurance came to me and they were like, haha, you thought we were gonna cover that. They said that they would only cover it because it was so expensive if I tried a less expensive medication first for a full 30 days. And so of course I had to try that all through September. Shocker, that cheaper medicine didn't work. So I didn't have my medicine that worked. There was the pressure change, the season change. It was kind of messy. So only 7 pain-free days, which really sucks. That might be the lowest I've had this year. I don't know, I'd have to go through my schedule and check. But you know, that's the way that chronic illness and disability works. Sometimes you're on an upswing, sometimes you're on a downswing. The thing is, I can be comfortable in the reality, or just be comfortable in the truth of knowing that there will always be a time when I feel better, and there will always be a time when I feel worse. And it just helps keep me balanced and real, and like, okay, this isn't the end all be all, have a good day again. And also don't take for granted your good days, because there will be days when you feel bad again. So I think that this month was a lesson in that, or a reminder in that, like, hey, don't forget those rules, girl. Anyway, moving on into the more happy. Because there was the season change, I was able to be outside a lot more than usual, which was really fun. Our apartment complex has a little dog park, and I've been taking Chauncey there almost every day that I feel good, and he has been loving it. We're frisbee training him. I was gonna see if I could find his frisbee, but I don't see it around here. We got him like a little Nerf, like, you know, like the Nerf guns. They make dog toys and stuff, so we got him the little Nerf frisbee and have been frisbee training him, and he's doing so good. He has so much fun. He's been making friends at the dog park, and it's just been so nice to be outside. Oh, feels so nice. Also, in true white girl fashion, I got obsessed with the Starbucks oat milk shaken brown sugar espresso, whatever the million names are, with the pumpkin cold foam. People aren't joking. They aren't joking. It will change your life. It is fantastic. I went in there very skeptical. I'm not a Starbucks girly. I just like, I find it a little bit overpriced when I can just make coffee at my house. But I heard so many people talking about it that I was like, okay, I have to try it. And yeah, now I'm addicted. I'm addicted. It is so good. And it's like one of those drinks that's just slightly sweetened. It's not too sweet. I don't like super sweet stuff. In fact, I don't normally put anything in my coffee at all. I'm a very like black coffee, black tea. I just like plain water. Like I'm just very basic when it comes to my drinks. So I was like, I'm not gonna like this, but no, it's perfect. Next, let's talk about some media that I've been consuming. I went to the movies, which was really fun. I don't go to the movies that often. And me and my best friend went and saw The Invitation. That movie that was kind of like a dark gothic romance with like vampires and stuff. It's got the girl from Game of Thrones in it, which was really cool to see her acting and more things. And like, It's exactly what I expected to be. Like, I feel like I went into the movies expecting, like, you know, if 1 is the worst rated movie and 10 is like the best movie I've ever seen, I expected like a 4, you know? And like, I got a 4. I was just there for like a good time. I was there for vampire-y stuff. I was there to like maybe kind of laugh. I was there to like get a few jump scares. It was a great time. I was there, honestly, I was there for the nachos and popcorn, let's be real. But yeah, if you're like craving a gothic romance with vampires, like go check it out. No, worst case scenario, you get to look at a nice guy with a great jawline for like an hour and a half. The next thing I watched was a Netflix documentary or docuseries called Sins of Our Mother. It followed a woman who was involved in the murder of quite a few people. Her ex-husband, her new husband's past wife, her 2 children, because of religious extremism. They were under the belief that God was sending them visions and that some people that were possessed by demons were considered zombies, and these people that they were murdering were zombies, and like the only way to like release the demon and make them not be zombies anymore is to kill the body. So yeah, that was a wild ride. I knew about the case, but I didn't follow it super closely. So it was it was illuminating to watch the documentary and like fill in all the pieces that I had missed. On a more happier note, my friend convinced me to start watching Modern Family. Which is like a comedy sitcom, which is like not my thing. It's not my thing, which is funny because like The Office is my entire personality, but I do not like the genre of television that is. I do not like comedy. I do not find comedy funny for the most part. I have a really weird, dry sense of, I think I have British humor is my problem, at least in my TV shows. But my friend convinced me to watch it because she's like, I think you would like it, and it's just like a nice little, you know, refresher. It was really nice to be able to turn on a TV show that's like 20 minutes long and just kind of like completely tune out of everything. But not only is it funny, it's got a lot of heart too. Like The Office, it is very much a product of its time. There are some jokes that I'm just like, ooh, but overall, I'm having a great time. Okay, I have quite a few books that I want to talk about, but because I have so many, like I had so many good reads this month, I'm gonna save those for last. So I'm gonna pop into writing and work related stuff first. So let's talk about Project Pyro a little bit. If you guys don't remember, this was my YA. It was like a thriller horror that I wrote last summer, and I haven't had time to work on it because I've been so busy with Tobe and the Glass Witch. But in September, I finally, you know, the month before I had turned in Tobe to copy edits, and now we have Project Pyro, which I'm finally able to dive into because I really want to work on this because I would really like to be on sub with it sometime next year. And by sub, for those of you that didn't know, sub is when your agent pitches your book to publishing houses so you can get it bought. But anyways, early this month I did have some time to work on this book, and I was able to reread the entirety of it, and I took some revision notes that I got to kind of figure out before I can dive into the second draft. Now this was all like the first week of September because promotional stuff for the Glass Witch really like peaked around mid-September, and so I didn't have much more time to do anything after the first week. But I did read it, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. I think it is really fast. I'm so proud of the pacing, you guys. Like, it's really well paced, and I'm just like, girl, you did the dang thing. Other than that, and like the potential I see, that's the only good things about this book. It's a mess otherwise. My first drafts always are. They are very, very sparse. A lot of times I just speak in fragments, and I just kind of tell myself the story, like the character goes here, she looks at him, she says this thing. So that's like, you know, I have like 52,000 words of this or whatever. But I always try to focus on seeing the potential of the story at this phase, because there's no point in being hard and judgmental on myself with a first draft for me, which I think a first draft for me is like what a lot of people consider a 0 draft. It reads in a lot of ways like an outline, but I think I can make it into something really great. I mean, if it still looks like it does a couple drafts from now, then I'm gonna be really hard on myself and be like, okay girl, get it together. But for now, yeah, I'm really happy where it's at. I have no idea when I will be able to work on it at all. I didn't have any time the rest of September. I doubt I will have time in October, but hopefully November we can cut out some time for it, because I really love the story and I really want to get it out there. So we'll see. Next, let's talk about the Odd book. This is my 2023 Scholastic middle grade. Not too many updates on that because it was, you know, turned into copy edits, so all is pretty quiet right now. You know, since it got turned into copy edits, I got paid. Hey, that's really exciting. I am on a, what am I on? A 4-5 payment schedule, as a lot of traditional published authors are, kind of unfortunately. We get paid at different parts in the process. So when I sign my contract, I got a chunk of money. When my books are turned into copy edits, I get a chunk of money. And then when the book is published, like on pub day, I get a chunk of money. So that is how that is for all my books. So yeah, five payments basically. But it's always nice when that payment hits and you check your bank account and you didn't know it was coming and you're just like, wow, that was nice. But you know, speaking of money, on the flip side of that, third quarter taxes were due for people that are self-employed. So yeah, that wasn't fun. All right, and then we'll move on to the Glass Witch. With this, it's like a lot more nebulous because I feel like I'm constantly doing stuff with it, but it's like I either can't talk about it or it's like nothing to really talk about. Like I answered 5 million emails. I can't give you specifics on that other than like I'm answering so many emails and half of my day is answering emails. I've also been busy because I've been asked to do some blog posts and some interviews and some testimonials. I'm working with Power of the Pen, which is an Ohio-based competitive writing program for middle schoolers, and I'm so happy to be involved with them. I was part of the organization when I was in 8th grade, so it's really cool to be able to connect and help out young writers in Ohio. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff for them behind the scenes, and I'm so happy to be doing that. I also got some really cool stuff in. I guess I could show you real quick. Scholastic sent me some coloring pages because at my Bunfest booth and at my launch party, I wanted to have some activities for the kids to do. I got this big box of coloring sheets. They took the cover of the Glass Witch and made it into little coloring sheets for the kids. And last, for the Glass Witch, I started filming my release day celebration video blitz thing that I'm doing. It's not that intense, it's just like a couple videos, but I had some ideas of videos that I always wanted to do if I ever, you know, got a book published, and I have a book published in like, you know, 2.5 weeks. Woo! So far, I have planned a creating my characters, which you probably have already seen. I have a Glass Witch Easter egg video coming up. I'm doing a living like my main character for a day. I'm doing a live show. I'm doing a spoilery unboxing for the Glass Witch box that I'm giving away at that live show. And then after debut week, I'll have a massive vlog, I'm sure, going up of my launch party and the Bunfest and the Heartland Forum that I am doing in Missouri. So much, so it'll be really fun. Okay, so the last thing we have to talk about is reading. I read so many amazing books. It was so hard to narrow them down. And usually I just talk about like 1 to 3 books. I have 7. I have 7 this month that I really enjoyed and I want to talk to you about. So I'm gonna go by age category, and let's start with middle grade. The first one is The Girl in the Witch's Garden by Erin Bowman. This is a contemporary fantasy about a little girl who goes to stay at her grandmother's mansion as her father receives treatment for chemo, and in the backyard she discovers that there is like a secret garden. There is rumored to be a fountain of youth in this garden, so she is on a mission to find the fountain of youth so that she can bring the potion to her father and save him of cancer. The whole book is beautiful. It obviously deals with a lot of grief, and I think it would be perfect for children dealing with a parent with terminal cancer. I did not know when I got into it that it was going to be so like heartfelt and just like a gut punch in a lot of ways. It did end up making me cry, but it was really beautiful watching the main character learn you can't control life, you can't control death, you just kind of have to roll with it, and it sucks, but you have to make peace with the reality that it's gonna suck. I found this really impactful, and I think it's great for young readers. It was great for me, and I'm like almost 30, so I very much enjoyed and highly recommend. All right, and the next book is Hummingbird by Natalie Lloyd. I don't know how to talk about this because I'll be squealy. This was a 5-star for me, and it is probably one of my favorites of the year. The problem is Natalie Lloyd is just too good, because the other book in the running for my favorite book of the year is The Key to Extraordinary by Natalie Lloyd. So I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, these two are fighting for first place. You guys know I'm obsessed with Natalie. Like, I think she's just absolutely brilliant. And this is a book where for the first time she writes about her own disability and having brittle bones disease. And it's about a little girl that is wanting to go to school, and her parents are kind of scared to send her because she does have brittle bones disease. But Olive really wants to go. She really wants to make friends, and she really wants to perform on stage. And it's honestly such a beautiful book. The story is whimsical and magical, as all of her books are, but this one feels a little bit different because there were so many moments that I just felt like, oh, like I get that, I feel that. Olive is trying to live her life, make friends, be a kid, and still dealing with chronic pain and the fear of chronic pain, like knowing that you will be in pain again. I don't see that portrayed almost ever. And that's something that really, really hits home for me, is just like the anxiety around knowing you will be in pain again and there's nothing you can do to stop it. It was just incredible to see that in a middle grade book. I wish I would have been able to read this when I was a kid. Maybe I would have been a lot more healthy had I been able to learn that lesson from a very young age, that you just kind of have to deal with it. You don't have to like it, you don't have to accept it, but you have to accept that it is a reality. There were just so many amazing, impactful lines. And in fact, I want to reread it because I listened to the audiobook, which is also narrated by Natalie Lloyd herself, and she's an amazing audiobook narrator. And you'll realize there's way more that you can do than you can't do. It just takes time for us to see it. Birds are born with wings. The rest of us have to find our wings as we go. And you will find your wings, Olive Miracle. You will find them and you will fly. If there's anything that birds, even tiny little hummingbirds, can teach us, it's that fragile creatures still get to fly. My body is made of stardust and lace and dreams and constellations. My bones are fragile, but I am not. All right, let's move on to YA. So the next book I want to talk about is The Bones of Ruin. I really enjoyed this book, this movie. It felt like a movie in a lot of ways. It is about an African tightrope walker who cannot die, and secret conspiracies and the end of the world, and it takes place in the Victorian era, which is like a big buzzword for me. I love anything set in the Victorian era, and it was so dang good, you guys. I have not read a YA fantasy in so long that I have just been like, oh, I can't wait for the sequel, and like this is one of them, and I'm so excited to finally have that feeling again. This book has the dream team that like people talk about with like Six of Crows or whatever, where it's just like the big cast and you love them all and they all have like a fun dynamic, some of them messy, like some of them fall in love, some of them don't like each other, like it's just so fun. And the pacing is so well done, like it's like something new and unexpected is happening every single chapter, and I just really enjoyed it. It's got really great poignant to this day conversations going on, and the pacing was great, the characters were great, and I'm just having such a good time. I legitimately cannot guess where the book is gonna go, because I feel like in a way it's different from anything I've ever read. It's like got a bunch of tropes that I've read individually but not all together at one point, and it really kind of gives the book this unpredictability that I find so exciting. You know, we all read a lot, we all consume a lot of media, so it's hard to find something that feels fresh and unpredictable, and that's one thing I really like. And then I read Valiant Ladies, which I also really enjoyed. This was kind of pitched as like Hispanic pirates, but I kind of found as I got into the story, it wasn't so much piratey, but it had like that vibe. It's about two girls who were ladies by day, and then by night they switch their petticoats for like swashbuckling, but like on land. One of the girls' brothers has been murdered, and they think that there's like a conspiracy because like a weird symbol was found on his body, and there has been prostitutes in the town that have also been murdered and found with that symbol on their body. So there's like some kind of conspiracy, some kind of mystery going on. So these high society ladies have to put on breeches and boots and go out in the night and like try to figure out what's happening, and you know, like rough up some ruffians and swashbuckle and do heists and fun. It was so fun. It was so much fun. Ooh, and one of my favorite reads of the month, The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. This is a YA horror that follows a non-binary teen who is going to the summer camp, which is like the last place that his twin sister was at before she died. Because it deals so much with like bees and flowers and like nature and stuff because of the camp, it feels very like cottagecore horror. I really enjoyed this one. This one might be my favorite horror that I've read all year, just because the vibes were there, as I said. But Ryan's voice is really, really good. Like the way that he makes his character just breathe off the page is fantastic. That is what I look for in a book. So it was really fantastic to get to read that, really feel like the main character was a person going through all this. It made them really easy to root for and want to see succeed, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It definitely had some spooky moments too. And then moving on to adult, while I was dealing with a rather gnarly migraine earlier in the month, I decided to listen to the audiobook of A Disability History of the United States. And I actually ended up listening to this entire thing in one night. It was really, really helpful to like distract me as I was just like, you know, pacing around the room, doing my thing. I love to have an audiobook. So I actually read the entirety of this thing in one sitting basically. But this series, I guess, of books is really, really great. There is an indigenous history of the United States, a queer history of the United States, a woman's history of the United States, black history, all of these things. And it just basically goes from the beginning of the US back in like the 1600s, even before that really, we start in like the 1400s, and then you move up to current day of everything that's happening, but the history is told through the lens of the specific marginality discussed. And because all of the other books that I have mentioned came out before this, and the disability one is the newest one, it was so incredibly intersectional, which I found very important to the conversations that were happening. And I learned so much. It was so interesting. It was only a 6-hour audiobook, so if you listen on double speed, you can get it done really, really fast, and you're gonna learn so much. It packs such a punch. I really feel a lot more equipped to go into writing Project Pyro, which deals a lot with disability and disability representation in a lot of ways. Knowing that there are people who came before you that dealt with so much more crap than you are now. Like, we're all dealing with the pain and stuff, but knowing that people came before you and were dealing with it and dealing with other things, like, it just, I don't know, makes you feel less alone. So it was a very it was a very timely book for me to read, given the state I was in when I was listening to it. So maybe because of that, I have like a deeper emotional attachment, but I do think it's a fantastic book. All right, and then the final book that we are going to talk about is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. It's an adult thriller. It is set on an island. A couple who are in desperate need of money, a couple of really rich college girls come to them and they're like, hey, can we pay you since you have a boat to take us out to this deserted island? We want to spend a couple weeks on holiday there. And they're like, you know, sure, pay us $50K, like, we'll do whatever you want. But when they get on this island, there are already people there, and everyone has secrets and everyone has scandal. And the book is just absolutely wild. It's one of those books where you just don't know what's going to happen next, because something more and more extreme happens as the story goes on. And I'm gonna say this book is not gonna be for everyone. It's not gonna be for everyone. If you don't like wacky books where it reads a little bit like a soap opera at times, you might not like this. But if you're just there for the ride, if you're there for the drama like I am, you're gonna have a great time. So that is it. That was my month of September. Oh, I always ask you guys a weird question. Let me find my phone. Okay, this is a good one, especially since it is October now. Spooky season. What would be the creepiest thing you could say while passing a stranger on the street? Best answer wins a gold star. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please pre-order the Glass Witch. Links are always down below. And give this video a like and a subscribe, please. I would really appreciate it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.